When you go off and do your own thing as an entrepreneur, it's a very lonely road. People don't really prepare you for it in that way. There's not a lot of support that kind of flows in your direction when you really try and make something of yourself. Not for most people anyway. If you're lucky, you'll have a few loved ones close by your side who are rooting you on. But largely, I think you'll find most people are just completely uninterested, or even in some cases, dismissive of your journey when you try and bring it up, especially with older friends who are on a radically different path and always really have been. And suddenly the day comes when you diverge and move on to a different path, yet they're still moving down that same path. You find it increasingly harder and harder to discuss what you're doing with them, to discuss your craft, your passion, your work, because they just don't have very much in common with you on that level. Some of those friends, if they are genuinely supportive, will do their best to try and root you on and support you in conversation when you want to talk about it. But then you're going to find people who just shut off completely and who have nothing productive to add to it. And in some cases, it's just plain toxic. I don't know if this is some kind of a universal law, but it seems like as you try and move in a different direction, you can never expect all of your friends to join you on the same path. And as you change paths in life radically, you can't expect to bring people along with you. It's something that I've really had to come to peace with. And it's something that you're going to have to come to peace with too, if you want any part of this life. You're going to have to surround yourself with people who are on a similar path as you. You're going to have to find them. And they exist, but it's going to take work to root them out. And you're going to have to make peace with your old friends, either by leaving them behind altogether or coming to terms with the fact that they will not contribute in the way you might want them to contribute. I think a lot of people, they mean well, friends and family who are cheering you on, but don't really have much to add to the conversation. There's so much that you're going to have to figure out on your own. You're going to have to be a go-getter. You're going to have to dig real deep for motivation that you didn't think existed on so many days when you just don't feel like it. And without becoming too David Goggins-ish, I think what I'm trying to say is that this path isn't for everybody, but it's very worthwhile. You know, there's some days when I just don't even really know what I'm doing. I'm on a hamster wheel of sorts, and I guess we're all kind of on some hamster wheel. We just get to choose our poison in life. But the new hamster wheel that I'm on is content creation and trying to figure out how to keep pumping out viral content, which is no small task. Going viral is not a science. It is not a formula that you can distill and then resell as much as people want it to be. I think by design, these algorithms don't allow for that. And the algorithms are constantly adapting and shifting to keep us on our toes, and in turn to keep us innovating instead of becoming stagnant. But I tell you, these are all things that you learn on your own. Maybe some of the time you'll get the insights from new friends that you make in the space on a similar journey, but largely this is all through self-discovery. It has been for me anyway. And in fact, it's pretty rewarding, but it's different. It's like finally fully growing up for the first time, like actually. And, well, you have to find different streams of income. You have to keep setting up new pillars just in case another one might collapse. You have to always be ready and anticipate the next desert, dry period, and you have to have things in place that support you through those periods. I tell you, there's no real roadmap. People have wisdom and experience based on what they've been through, and they share those things online and on YouTube, kind of like I'm doing. But I don't think there is any solid, bulletproof roadmap for any of this. And if there is, please show it to me. But I don't think it exists. I think it's all subjective. I think there's so many different perspectives and some common threads that run through all of them, but largely there is a diversity, a multiplicity of different ideas as far as how to become successful, and not all of them jive. And so if you really want this, you're going to have to do some self-discovery. You're going to have to go through the gauntlet yourself, equipped with very little, in fact. It doesn't matter how many self-help books you read, how many YouTube rabbit holes you travel down. There is so much education that only results through experience, direct experience with entrepreneurship, with trying things, different things, seeing what sticks, A/B testing, figuring out that a certain business idea is a flop, and then the next one's a flop, and then the next one is slightly better, but largely still a flop. And then going through that failure routine time and time again until eventually something sticks and you follow it further And it's like these little signals, these signposts that the universe gives to us that indicates that we are on a right path, not the right path, but a right path towards the same goal, which is success and financial freedom. Many paths to the same destination. But to harken back to an earlier point, don't expect to have everybody in your life be supportive of your journey. It's setting yourself up for failure. To the friends and the family who are supportive, those are gems. They are blessings. They should be held closely and never let go of, because it's more rare than you think. You're going to have to get real comfortable advocating for yourself, because there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of alone time. And so if you're somebody who really depends on the company of others to get by, this might not be the path for you. Fortunately, as an only child, I have grown quite comfortable with independence and my own company, and so this path wasn't that hard for me in terms of loneliness, because I just don't really get lonely too much. Now, I still have a great support network. I have a wonderful girlfriend and set of parents and friends around me who are very supportive. And you know what? Don't be afraid to lean on ChatGPT in these trying times as well, as dystopic as that might sound. It can be very useful to talk to ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or name your poison. And they won't just provide emotional support, they'll also provide technical support and technical guidance and almost anything you can think of. Now, it's not fully human, of course. It's always going to be missing a few things here and there, but there are options. If you feel like you're lacking support in your social circle, there are options. And then, of course, there's God, and finding a good practice with faith. That helps as well to get through these times. Find the time for meditation and pray to the God within. Have a conversation. Ask if you're going in the right direction, and listen closely. Listen intently. It's an interesting experience. I highly recommend it. But the point that I'm trying to make here is, it doesn't have to be lonely if you're somebody who's afraid of being alone. Get involved in groups, networking meetups, opportunities like that. Be around people who are like you at this point in your life. Be around people who are on a similar path. I cannot stress it enough. It brings you back to life. It reminds you that you are not alone on this path, even if it feels like it at times. There are people out there who are going through exactly what you're going through, but you're going to have to find them. And Instagram's a great place for that. Facebook is even a decent place for that if you happen to be in groups. I know people who have networked very successfully through Facebook. Hasn't really worked for me in that way. Instagram's more my bread and butter, but Facebook is an option. But I think above all else, learn to enjoy your own company, truly. Meditate more, become more mindful. Really get to know yourself better than you did before. Make the time for it. It's a little hard for me to try and convince somebody to be independent since it's always come naturally to me. It's not exactly the type of thing you can give to somebody, but I encourage you not to get discouraged and to just try. And that's about it.